What if I told you that something incredibly important is happening inside your brain right now? Something quiet, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to shape how clearly you think, how well you remember, and how sharp you feel every single day. And for millions of people over the age of 60, this process is slowly breaking down night after night without any warning, without any obvious mistake, and without them even realizing it. Not because of bad luck, not because of genetics, and not because they did something clearly wrong, but because of something so ordinary that it often goes unnoticed what they chose to eat or what they didn't eat before going to sleep. It might sound too simple at first, maybe even hard to believe, but stay with me because by the time you reach the end of this, you will understand your brain in a way most people never do. And more importantly, you will know exactly what small change you can start making tonight that could have a lasting impact. Now, think about this for a moment. What is your brain actually doing while you sleep? Most people imagine sleep as a shutdown process, like a computer going into rest mode where everything slows down and very little happens. But in reality, the opposite is true. While your body lies still and your awareness fades, your brain becomes intensely active, running one of the most advanced biological systems ever discovered. It is not resting, it is working. It is cleaning itself, repairing damage, and rebuilding the connections that allow you to recall names, stay focused in conversations, and wake up feeling mentally clear. But here is something most people are never told. After the age of 60, this entire system begins to weaken. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly, and often for years before any signs appear. And by the time those signs finally show up, forgetfulness, confusion, mental fog, the damage has already been developing for a long time. What makes this even more surprising is that something as simple as the food you eat, especially in the hours before sleep, directly affects whether this system works properly or starts to fail. Not expensive supplements, not complicated treatments, just everyday foods that are already available. And among those foods, there are five in particular that stand out for their powerful impact on the aging brain. But before we talk about them, you need to clearly understand what is actually happening inside your brain at night. Because once you see how it works, the solution will not just make sense, it will feel impossible to ignore. Deep inside your brain, there is a system that scientists only discovered relatively recently. For many years, researchers knew that the brain produces waste as a result of normal activity, damaged proteins, toxic compounds, and other byproducts that build up throughout the day. But what remained unclear was how the brain removes this waste. The answer, when it was finally uncovered, changed everything. During deep sleep, a special fluid called cerebrospinal fluid moves through the brain in a wave-like pattern, washing away debris, almost like water cleaning sediment from a surface. This system is known as the glymphatic system, and what it removes each night plays a critical role in determining whether your mind stays clear or slowly becomes overwhelmed by its own waste. One of the most dangerous substances this system clears is a protein called beta-amyloid. You may have heard of it because of its strong connection to Alzheimer's disease. In a healthy brain that gets proper deep sleep, this protein is cleared out efficiently every night. But when sleep is poor, or when the brain does not have the nutrients it needs to support this process, beta amyloid begins to build up slowly at first, then steadily over time, night after night, week after week, year after year. And here's the part that should make you stop and think. This buildup begins long before any symptoms appear, long before memory problems are noticed. By the time someone realizes something is wrong, this process may have already been happening silently for more than 10 years. So now the question becomes unavoidable. What does this have to do with what you eat before going to bed? The answer is simple, but incredibly powerful. Everything. The glymphatic system does not run on willpower or intention. It depends entirely on biology. It requires the right nutrients to function properly, healthy fats to maintain brain cell structure, vitamins to support communication between neurons, minerals to regulate activity, and compounds that control inflammation and oxidative stress. Without these, the system slows down. Waste begins to accumulate, and the brain you wake up with the next morning is just slightly worse than the one from the night before. That change may seem small at first, almost impossible to notice, but when you repeat it over hundreds of nights, over years, it becomes significant. This is how cognitive decline often happens, not suddenly, but gradually, through a quiet process of breakdown that most people never connect to their daily habits, especially their evening meals. But there is another layer to this that makes the situation even more serious, and that is inflammation. It is a word people hear often, but rarely understand in a meaningful way. Inside the brain, inflammation is not just a vague concept, it is a real, measurable force that interferes with almost every repair process we have talked about. Chronic low level inflammation reduces the brain's ability to clear waste, disrupts deep sleep, weakens memory formation, and even damages the structures inside cells that produce energy. And after the age of 60, this kind of inflammation becomes extremely common, especially in people who are not actively consuming the nutrients needed to control it. What makes it even more dangerous is how it feeds into itself. Poor sleep increases inflammation. Increased inflammation further disrupts sleep. And this cycle continues, slowly accelerating the decline of brain function. At the same time, something equally important is happening while you sleep. As the brain clears out waste, it is also organizing everything you experience during the day. Every conversation, every face, every piece of information is being processed. The brain strengthens the connections that matter and removes those that do not. It stores important information for long-term use, making it easier to recall later. But this process depends heavily on the chemical environment inside your brain, your neurotransmitters, your neural connections, and the nutrients available to support them. And here is where things take another critical turn. After 60, this entire system becomes less efficient, sleep cycles become weaker, key brain chemicals begin to decline, inflammation increases, nutrient absorption becomes less effective, and the tiny structures inside brain cells that produce energy start to lose efficiency. These changes do not happen separately. They interact with each other, making the overall decline happen faster. But here is the part that truly matters. This process is not fixed, it is not inevitable. Research consistently shows that targeted changes in diet and lifestyle can slow down, stop, and even reverse aspects of this decline even later in life. The brain is not a machine that simply wears out. It is adaptable, it responds to what you give it, and the foods we are about to explore are some of the most effective ways to support it. The first food is something many people overlook without even thinking about it. It is small, simple, and often ignored. But when it comes to brain health, it is one of the most powerful options available: sardines. At first glance, they do not seem impressive. They are not marketed as a superfood. They are not trendy, and they rarely appear in conversations about improving memory or protecting the brain. But when you look at what they actually contain, it becomes clear why scientists consistently highlight them as one of the best choices for an aging brain. Sardines are packed with 2 essential omega, 3 fatty acids, DHA, and EPA. These are not just helpful nutrients, they are fundamental building blocks of the brain itself. DHA, in particular, makes up a large portion of the structure of brain cell membranes. And these membranes are not just passive layers, they control how signals move between neurons, how efficiently information is processed, and how well different parts of the brain communicate. When there is not enough DHA, these membranes become less flexible. They become more rigid, less responsive, and less capable of supporting the fast electrical and chemical signals that thinking and memory depend on. Now, imagine what that means during sleep. When your brain is trying to organize memories and strengthen connections, those signals need to move smoothly. But instead, they are moving through a system that has become slightly stiff and less efficient. Over time, that small inefficiency builds up, memory becomes less reliable, thinking feels slower, clarity starts to fade, and because the body cannot produce enough DHA on its own, the only way to maintain proper levels is through diet. Sardines provide this in a form that is easily absorbed, making them one of the most reliable sources available. But their benefits do not stop there. Sardines are also extremely rich in vitamin B12, a nutrient that becomes harder to absorb as we age. This vitamin plays a crucial role in maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective layer around nerve fibers. You can think of it like insulation around electrical wires. When it is strong, signals move quickly and clearly. But when it breaks down, those signals slow down or even get lost. This is one of the reasons why B12 deficiency is often linked to memory problems in older adults. Sardines help protect the system directly, supporting faster and clearer communication inside the brain. And there is one more advantage that makes sardines even more practical. Because they are small and lower on the food chain, they contain far less mercury compared to larger fish like tuna. This makes them safer to eat regularly, allowing them to become a consistent part of your weekly routine. Eating sardines just 2 to 3 times a week can create noticeable improvements over time, especially when combined with other supportive foods. Now let's continue, because what we've covered so far is only the beginning. And the next piece adds another layer that most people completely overlook, even if they are already trying to eat healthy. The second food on this list is something you've probably seen everywhere in restaurants, on social media, even in everyday meals. Yet very few people truly understand what it's doing inside their brain: avocado. For many, it's just a trendy ingredient or a simple source of healthy fat, but its role in brain health goes much deeper than that. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats, the same type of fats found in olive oil, and these fats are essential for maintaining the structure of brain cells while also improving blood flow. And blood flow is something people rarely connect to brain performance, even though it is absolutely critical. Your brain may only make up a small portion of your body weight, but it consumes a large amount of oxygen and energy every second. It depends on a steady stream of blood to deliver oxygen, glucose, and nutrients to its cells. When that flow is reduced, even slightly, the brain begins to operate under less than ideal conditions. It's like trying to run a high performance engine without enough fuel. Over time, this leads to fatigue, slower thinking, and reduced efficiency in the repair processes that are supposed to happen during sleep. Avocado helps improve this by supporting the health of blood vessels and reducing factors that restrict circulation. This means more oxygen and nutrients reach the brain, especially during the night when repair and restoration are at their peak. But what makes avocado even more valuable is something most people don't think about: its high folate content. Folate plays a central role in a process called methylation. It may sound technical, but the effects are very real. Methylation helps regulate how neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine are produced, which directly influence your mood, focus, and mental clarity. It also affects which genes inside your brain cells are activated, including those responsible for repair and protection. And on top of that, it helps repair damage to DNA, something that happens constantly as part of normal brain activity. When folate levels are strong, these processes run smoothly, but when folate is low, the system becomes unstable. Mood can shift, sleep can become less consistent, and memory can slowly weaken over time. Including even half an avocado in your meals can provide enough folate to support these systems effectively. And when eaten in the evening, it delivers a steady release of healthy fats that help transport nutrients throughout the night, exactly when your brain needs them most. It's not just about what you eat, it's about when your body can actually use it. Now let's move to the third food, something many people already eat, but often without realizing how important it can be when used the right way: walnuts. Out of all nuts, walnuts stand out for a very specific reason. They contain a unique combination of nutrients that directly support brain function, not just in terms of structure, but in energy production as well. They are rich in omega 3 fatty acids, similar to sardines, but their real strength lies in how they support a process that becomes increasingly important as we age: maintaining the health of mitochondria. Mitochondria are the tiny structures inside your cells responsible for producing energy. Every brain cell depends on them. Without enough energy, even the most basic functions begin to slow down. Over time, damaged mitochondria can build up inside cells, reducing efficiency and increasing oxidative stress. The body does have a natural system to deal with this. It identifies damaged mitochondria and removes them so they can be replaced with healthier ones. But as we get older, this system becomes less effective. Damaged mitochondria start to accumulate, draining energy and contributing to cognitive decline. This is where walnuts play a critical role. They contain compounds that help support this cleanup process, allowing cells to maintain a healthier balance of energy production. This becomes especially important during sleep, when the brain is actively repairing itself and needs a steady supply of energy to do so effectively. In addition to this, walnuts are rich in antioxidants and polyphenols, which help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which interfere with brain function. A small handful of walnuts in the evening can provide consistent support for these systems, helping your brain maintain its energy and resilience over time. And when you look at what we've covered so far, something important becomes clear. These foods are not just random healthy options. Each one is targeting a different part of the same system. Sardines support structure. Avocado improves blood flow and chemical balance. Walnuts support energy and cellular health. And we're still only halfway through. Now we move to the fourth food, and this is where everything starts to come together in a more complete way. Spinach. At first, it may not seem as powerful or impressive as the others. It's simple, common, and often overlooked. But when you understand what it actually does inside the body, it becomes clear that spinach plays a central role in keeping the brain functioning properly, especially during the night when repair processes are at their peak. Spinach is extremely rich in folate, even more concentrated than avocado in many cases, which means it directly supports neurotransmitter production, helping regulate mood, focus, and clarity. It also plays a key role in repairing DNA inside brain cells. This is critical because every single day, your brain is exposed to oxidative stress. Every thought, every action, every moment of activity creates small amounts of damage at the cellular level. And without proper repair, that damage begins to accumulate over time. Spinach helps the brain stay ahead of that process. But what truly sets spinach apart is its magnesium content. Magnesium is one of the most overlooked nutrients when it comes to brain health, yet it has a direct and powerful effect on sleep quality. It helps calm the nervous system, reducing excessive neural activity and allowing the brain to transition into deeper stages of sleep. And those deep stages are where the most important repair work happens. This is when the glymphatic system becomes most active and when memory consolidation reaches its peak. In people who do not get enough magnesium, which is very common, especially in adults over 60, sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented. The brain struggles to reach deep sleep consistently, which means the cleaning and repair processes are interrupted. Over time, this leads to a buildup of waste and a decline in cognitive performance. Spinach helps correct this by supporting a more stable and restorative sleep pattern, giving the brain the conditions it needs to function properly at night. Beyond magnesium, spinach also contains natural nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide. This compound helps relax and widen blood vessels, improving circulation throughout the body, including the brain. Better blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients are delivered exactly where they are needed, especially during nighttime repair. It also helps the brain absorb glucose more efficiently, which is a key energy source for neurons working to rebuild and strengthen connections. Spinach goes even further by providing vitamin K, which supports the formation of specialized fats that make up the myelin sheath, the protective layer around nerve fibers, and vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects brain cells from damage. This protection becomes especially important during sleep when the brain is actively repairing itself and needs to preserve the integrity of its cells. Even the way spinach is prepared makes a difference. Cooking it slightly helps break down compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption, making nutrients like magnesium more available. A simple serving of cooked spinach with dinner can support multiple brain functions at once, especially for someone looking to maintain clarity and memory over time. Now we come to the fifth and final food, and in many ways, it brings everything together while also strengthening the effects we've already discussed. Mackerel. If sardines are the reliable, steady source of essential fats, mackerel is the more concentrated version, richer, more potent, and perfectly suited for what the aging brain needs during its nightly repair cycles. Mackerel is extremely high in omega 3 fatty acids, particularly DHA and EPA, and these fats do more than just support the structure of brain cells. They also have powerful anti inflammatory effects inside the brain. This is especially important because inflammation is one of the main factors that disrupts sleep, damages neurons, and interferes with the brain's ability to repair itself. Inside the brain, There are specialized immune cells that are meant to protect and maintain balance.